You are ultimately responsible for your SMSF, so get some guidance because the buck does stop with you. If you're buying property in your SMSF and you've got borrowings, make sure your deed allows for you to borrow. We've seen a couple of cases where there's an old deed that doesn't allow for borrowing. Make sure when you're purchasing assets inside your SMSF, whether it be property, crypto, bullion, whatever it is, make sure you're purchasing it in the name of the SMSF. Welcome to SMSF Insider, where we help busy professionals to gain financial independence using an SMSF. Hi, I'm Troy, founder of Blue Chip SMSF Services. And over the last 20 years, I've helped thousands of Aussies manage the complexities of self-managed super funds. And in this podcast, I'll answer your questions, break down the myths, so you can take charge of your financial freedom. Let's get into it. Today, we'll be talking about why you should never set up your own SMSF. So I've never come across anyone who has set up an SMSF correctly. Funnily enough, the more I think about it, I come across quite a few who have set it up incorrectly, but none that have set it up correctly. So there is a few horror stories, but one that sort of does stick out a lot is actually a mate of mine who tried to set it up himself. And he set it up online with a cheap provider who, I think it was like nothing to set it up, and it required individual trustees only, which he then had his sister as the other trustee of the fund who was based in Sydney. He didn't know where to sign. He didn't know anything about having an investment strategy. He then didn't know where to sign. He didn't know about the trustee declaration form that's required. He then didn't know what documents to take to the bank to set up the bank account. He didn't know how the hell he was going to roll his funds out of his industry fund into his SMSF. For some reason, that particular setup stands out the most. A lot of people stuff this up. So that's why it is a good idea to get help from a professional that can help you in this space. I mean, even accountants and professionals can stuff this up. So for the average guy or girl that's trying to do this themselves, it can be quite a daunting process. So the trust documents are about that thick when they come out. So it is handy to have someone hold your hand through that process and really just explain everything for you so you understand, firstly, what you're signing, and secondly, can just overall help you through that process. So if you do get to that path of doing it yourself, which is not a great idea, but you will need to print off, there are a bunch of trust documents, as I mentioned. You'll need to set up a bank account as well. So every SMSF needs to have a bank account, and the account needs to be in the name of the SMSF. So you'll need to provide those trust documents to the bank. If you are engaging a professional, then they'll be able to help you through this process. But essentially, yeah, you'll need to, having someone hold your hand through this process is something that's going to be handy if you are going down this path of establishing a self-managed super fund. You'll also need to decide whether you're having individual trustees or whether you're going to have a corporate trustee. Every trustee of an SMSF also needs to be a member of the fund. So you need to be mindful of that. So you don't want to have someone sitting in as a trustee of your SMSF that you don't want to be a member, because they need to be, if you're a trustee, you also need to be a member, and vice versa. So it's important you get some advice from the get-go before you set up one of these funds, because otherwise trying to set up yourself typically ends in disaster. So get the right advice and get someone to help you set it up and get it set up the right way. End of year reporting. So at the end of the financial year, you'll need to do a tax return, an audit and tax return will need to be done for the fund. So your fund administrator will need to be able to get access to that information. So get valuations on the assets so that they can lodge the return on your behalf. So if you're trying to do that yourself, it can become a bit messy. So please do reach out and get some help when you are doing the ongoing tax returns and audits for your fund. Make sure your deeds, if you're doing things like borrowing, if you're buying property in your SMSF and you've got borrowings, make sure your deed allows for you to borrow. We've seen a couple of cases where there's an old deed that doesn't allow for borrowing. So make sure you check your deed before you go using this type of strategy. Make sure it allows for borrowing. You will need to create the bare trust, obviously, when you're borrowing. and make sure you've got an investment strategy as well. We've seen lots of cases where SMSFs have been established and they don't have an investment strategy, or the investment strategy doesn't actually reflect the assets that they've purchased. So make sure you keep up to date with your investment strategy. Keep that updated regularly, at least annually. Otherwise, the fund could be deemed non-compliant. Make sure you lodge your tax returns on time. Otherwise, you'll get penalties. And if you are purchasing property, make sure you've got some borrowings, so you'll need a bare trust. Every state is different in terms of when you sign the bare trust document. So in some cases, in some states, you need to sign the bare trust before you sign or execute the contract of the property. And in every other state, you'll need to execute the property contract and then execute the bare trust after you've executed the contract of the property. So make sure you're getting the right advice from your SMSF advisor or professional. Otherwise, there could be stamp duty implications that you do not want. So that's a big one as well. Make sure you get that one right. Another one is you can't live in your property that you purchased through your SMSF. So you can't purchase a property and then go and live in it. You can only do that once you have retired and then transfer the property into your own personal name. But you can't do that during accumulation phase. It needs to be rented out at an arm's length transaction, or it has to be rented out at arm's length, I should say. And so you can't rent it out to an auntie or a sister or a brother or a mother or a father. It needs to be an arm's length transaction. So you can't live in it and you can't rent it out to a relative. So keep that one in mind when you're purchasing residential property. And also make sure when you're purchasing assets inside your SMSF, whether it be property, crypto, bullion, whatever it is, make sure you're purchasing it in the name of the SMSF. Don't purchase it in your own personal name because the fund technically won't own it. So make sure you get that part right. Seek professional guidance, but make sure when you're purchasing assets for your SMSF, make sure they're purchased in the name of your SMSF and not in your personal name. Just quickly, guys, if you're a busy professional, fed up with traditional super funds and overwhelmed by the setup of your SMSF, we can help. Book in a call with my team using the link in the show notes and let's build your future on your terms. Now, back to the episode. Ultimately, you will be responsible for your SMSF, so it's handy to have someone guiding you through the ongoing compliance and legislative requirements for your SMSF. Otherwise, you are ultimately responsible for your SMSF, so get some guidance because the buck does stop with you. So it is important to stay abreast of the super legislation because it does change quite a lot. So having an SMSF professional that can guide you through some of these different changes can be quite beneficial. Otherwise, if you're stepping outside of that legislation, the fund will obviously be non-compliant. So having an SMSF professional will help you through those legislative changes and will be beneficial for the ongoing maintenance of your SMSF. If you're trying to establish a fund, doing it cheaply by trying to do it yourself, ultimately it potentially could cost you more money by doing this. So making mistakes and then you've got to go and pay someone to fix your mistakes, which can be costly. So that's why you are better off just paying for someone to get it right the first time. Otherwise, it can be not just costly from a monetary perspective, but also costly from an opportunity perspective. So markets do move quickly in certain asset classes. If you are looking to get into some of these asset classes that do move fast, then it's not just a monetary cost, it's also the opportunity cost. So pay the money, get someone to set it up properly the first time, and get someone to set it up where you can pay them at the end of the process. Once the funds are rolled across into your SMSF, then they can take their fee from the SMSF. So you don't have to pay for it up front. After you've fund has been established, what next? Essentially, that's when you can go out. The funds have been rolled to the cash account. The fund is all set up for you. At that stage, that's when you can go out and purchase your assets, whether that be property, crypto, shares, or you're investing in an IPO, an initial public offering. That's when you can go out and invest in the assets you're wanting to purchase. If you've got guidance from an advisor or an accountant or whoever is licensed to provide you with advice, or whether you're doing this, you're making these investment decisions on yourself, so you've had some experience in property before, or you've had some experience in crypto or purchasing other assets, then that's at that point, once the funds have been rolled across into your cash account, that's when you can go out and start purchasing these assets in the name of your SMSF. If you've got a good relationship with your accountant and he sets up lots of SMSFs there and you're confident in his ability to do so, then use your accountant. If your financial planner sets up SMSFs, and you have a good relationship with your financial planner, then use your financial planner. If you don't have a good accountant or you don't have a good financial planner or experts in this field, you can use someone like us who that's all we specialize in, is setting up SMSFs and doing the ongoing compliance for SMSFs. So it really depends on your personal circumstances and who you feel comfortable with. But at the end of the day, certainly doing it yourself is definitely something that I would avoid doing. When it comes to investing, we're an SMSF document service that provides the legal documents for your SMSF. So we're not going to tell you where you should invest your money and give you advice on where you should invest your money or how you should invest your money or your asset allocation or anything like that. But what we will do is give you all of the legal documents and the structure to do it correctly. So if you know what you're investing in, or you've got someone providing you the advice as to where you're investing and how you're investing, that's great. But that's not our area of expertise. Our area of expertise, we're essentially an SMSF document service. So we're going to provide you all of the legal documents that are required to establish your fund, so it's done correctly. It's then up to yourself and your advisor to help you navigate and help you invest those funds correctly and invest those according to your SMSF investment strategy. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of SMSF Insider. If you got value from this, make sure you subscribe so you never miss the strategies we share to help you take control of your financial future. Find us on socials at Blue Chip SMSF or book a call with our team to see if we can help you.